In this video, I'm going to tell you how to start reading if you hate it. Now, I know it's crazy, but some people do hate reading or think that they just can't get into it. And the reason I'm making this video is because I think everybody should read because we have such limited time on this planet that it just doesn't make sense to only see perspectives that you can talk to about. Books have entire people's lives in them, and you can gain the lessons. You can live multiple lives that maybe you won't have time, and you likely won't have time for during this lifetime. We all know it, the cliches, life is too short. There's too many books out there. How do you choose the right ones? In this video, I'm just going to tell you everything and how to get started reading today, how to read more, and how to read for your lifetime. So the first thing, if you absolutely hate reading, is to find good books. Now that sounds super easy and simple, but is not the easiest thing because you'll see a lot of classics. You'll see like big ass books by like Dostoevsky or, real bookworms talking about books that mostly like only 1% of people and like English professors can comprehend. And if you're new to books or you're new to reading as you've gotten older, or maybe you just want to get more interested in them because, there's benefits to it, then you got to start with books that are kind of your level, okay? And for me, I think the number one way to do this is to read books that are film adapted. For example, I didn't read the Harry Potter books before I watched the movies. I actually watched all the movies and then I picked up the books after. And I was young and a reader at a time when you would be in lineup to get the next Harry Potter book. And I just never did. I don't know why I didn't do it, but that's what I did. And so by doing that, and now people like to think oh, you should read the book first. And people love to be snobs about oh, books are better than the movies. And a lot of the time they can be, yes. But I honestly really enjoyed the books more with the movies because not only did the movies slap, but I got to just visualize everything again and then just add the bits and pieces that are not included into the movie into the book. And it made it so much more exciting, more interesting, and it adds more depth to the movies too, and just gaining all that knowledge. So other examples of books that you can read that anyone could read, or movies that are book adapted, there's tons of bangers. One of them, Forrest Gump, such a good book. Small, anybody can read it. You might lose a few IQ points by reading it because it's written in the drawl of somebody who is kind of a moron back in the olden days when we would talk about morons. You could read The Godfather, one of the greatest movies ever. Also, in my opinion, the greatest book that has ever been adapted to a movie, because the book and the movie just they work so well. The next one that I'm currently reading, that's newer for if you're newer to reading or you're younger, is Bullet Train. This book has been awesome. It's so fun. It's so easy, and it's just the movie is so fun. Okay, and so the book itself reflecting that is really interesting. And so this is just a way to get your foot in the door of actually enjoying reading, because a lot of people don't. And to me, that makes no sense. But I totally get it. I have friends who are I just don't like reading. I can't sit down. I can't do this stuff. And so that leads me to the next point, is that you need to learn how to focus and sit down. And I have this thing that I always use, and I use it for everything, whether it comes down to exercise, eating, reading, studying, whatever. And it's the 15-minute rule. The 15-minute rule says that, and this is my rule that I'm just making up and that I've been using, is that nothing is easy until you get 15 minutes into it, okay? You don't get into that flow state until you've succumbed something for at least 15 minutes. Running never feels easy until I get 15 minutes in. The first 15 minutes sucks. Reading is the same. I love to read. I read every day. I read at least an hour to 2 hours every single day. And the first 15 minutes, my eyes start to get so heavy. I start to get tired immediately. And I know I just need to pass this 15 minutes, get my mind adjusted, get a little bit focused, and actually fight through the hardness of this to get into the flow of it. And once I get that, 15 minutes becomes half an hour becomes an hour plus, easy. And unless I have something holding me back that I need to go do, I can read endlessly after that 15 minutes. So once you get past that 15 minutes, that's when the focus kicks in. That's when you really get into a book. That's when you can settle into a book. So I want to go back to point number one. Read books that are fun. Other fun books that you can read are comic books. This is Preacher. Also a TV show. The TV show was dope. I didn't finish it, but I should have. And I just bought all the comics. I just bought them all yesterday. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be sick. People like to diss, that audiobooks or comic books aren't reading. And it's like, that's simply not true. Audiobooks, you get all the content in, and yes, you're listening to it, but that is still consuming it. And if you are enjoying an audiobook, then maybe you'll be led to the point where you'll actually read the book after. And the difference between an audiobook and reading a book is that I feel like you can really highlight and remember points better when you actually read the book. I draw all over my books to get, the lessons that I want to, and I reread them. And there's nothing wrong with rereading books. That's another thing. Is like, if you love a book, read the fuck out of it. It doesn't matter. You can read it 1,000 times. When I was in from grade 5 to grade 9, I read the same book every single week. And it was this puny hockey book called Looney for Luck. And it is the story of the Canada Olympic hockey team. And it's just the story of, that. And the Looney for Luck is just the dollar that was not engraved, but put under the ice in the center. And that was our luck to win the championships in the 2002 in the Olympics. Anyways, reread books if you want to. Other ways you can find books that are really good is, yes, you can look at reviews, super easy reviews, but also just see what you're currently interested in and then find books that people that are interested in your thing say are good. And then you're going to find books that are going to suck. And the hardest part about reading and starting books and like getting into it is thinking that you can't just stop reading a book and just like put it away. A lot of people get caught up in reading and being like, oh, I have to finish this book, but it's 900 pages and you're 200 pages in and it sucks already. And you're like, oh, it'll get better. And then you go to like 200 pages, then you get to 500 pages. And then you're like, fuck, there's still 400 pages left. And I do not like this book. And people still slog on. And that gets them to stop reading, which is dumb. Do not do this thing. Read until, and you got to make the decision that you're like, all right, this book is not getting any better. And I just cannot do it. And then you put it away, return it, sell it, doesn't matter. Get rid of it. Don't waste your time on books that are not capturing your attention. Now, there's going to be books that are going to be challenging. There's going to be books that are fun because they're challenging, but there's going to be books that are going to be worth reading if you can hold on a little bit longer. And what are those books? As you get stronger, as you become a better reader, as you learn to read more, you will find these books and you'll be like, oh, I'm glad I sat through that slog. Most of the time, it's not really worth it. Some books are not meant for you at the current time that you're in. If you pick up that book maybe 5 years down the line and it starts to relate and resonate with you more, then that might be the time where you read the book. Do not force yourself to read a book. Other books that you can read and love to read are self-improvement books. For young people, this is great because they're so easy and most of them have so many reviews and most people read these books because they're so easy and you can read it in like a week. And if you're an absolute noob, just getting a book read in like a week or two and like just like really sitting down and just crushing one feels so good that it carries your momentum into reading the next book and the next book. The last book I read was one of the best books I've ever read. And I'm probably going to just do a review on this book because it is amazing. And this is Shantaram. And this book was fantastic. It is the biggest book I've read in a while. And it was so fun. I couldn't put it down. I read it in a month. Like I've read probably about, 50 pages a day. Maybe a little bit more some days. And it was so fun. And as soon as I finished reading that book, I continued to read books and books. And I've read probably 5 books since I read that one. And that was the best one that I've read recently. And that just gets the ball rolling for you to love books more. And that's awesome. The more books you can read, the more educated you get, the more attractive you get, the more relatable you get to other people, and the more you get to experience and love and feel in different emotions. I'm not the super eloquent, articulate guy, but I love and I appreciate art and books so much that I can talk about it all day, even if it's not like in the most beautifully well said way that a reviewer could do. And that's okay. So find books that you love that are fun. Movie to adapted, TV to adapted, read Game of Thrones, read Lord of the Rings, read the stuff that you already seen, some form of media that you enjoy. Read self-help because those books are super easy and maybe you can learn a lesson or two. And that goes for saying, if you read a book and you learn at least one good lesson from it, that book was worth it. It was worth the time, okay? Throw away books that you're not gonna read and don't wanna finish. Don't get upset or obsessed with finishing books that you don't want to enjoy. If you want to read good books, I can give you a ton of recommendations. I can make a video on the best recommended books that I have that I've currently read to this day. And I have a ton of books and I've read in different genres, which you can do too. You like sports? Read about sports. You like history? History. Biography? People you love. Relate to it. Find a book that you relate to. Find a book that you're the main character in. You want, like, I'd want somebody that's like, maybe, of Lebanese descent, or is Colombian, or has the same kind of history as I do, and see how that unravels and see how the trajectory of that, and that just makes it so interesting. If you can put yourself into the story, that's what it's going to make you love reading. So if you hate reading, follow these steps. Find something. Go to the library. Find a book. Read one once, because once you get a good one, once you get a banger, you're going to want to keep going. And oh man, so help you God that like you find a book that has a series and all the books are bangers. Read Foundations, read Dune, read sci-fi, fantasy. There's so much out there. If you need any help finding a good book for you, I can pretty much recommend a book to anybody, because I'm well read, okay? And that's not to brag, that's just what it is. And like I can find a book that anyone would like. So if you want a recommendation, leave a comment. If you like this video and you want more of this, like, subscribe, let me know. Always remember to rep the set. I'll see you in the next one.